What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast Show, whatever we're going to call it. We are tidyless tonight as work kicking his butt right now, so our hearts are sent out to him, but he shall return in due time for sure. But the good news is we are joined by Nick the Geek to the rights of me. Nick, how the heck have you been, sir?
I'm pretty good, Jim. Like, super excited. WrestleMania's all booked for next year. So, yeah.
Everything's good to go.
Everything is good to go. And I always love doing the show with you guys, so happy to be here.
And we love having you, man. You're like a unofficial fourth member of the PAW Cast.
Well, thank you.
And last but certainly not least, he's down there watching the Jets game right now. But Albert, how the heck have you been, sir? What's up?
Doing good. So, Nick, I mean, that means that you're going to WrestleMania next year. I'm going to be there for night one. So that means, a podcast meetup, at least, one as our unofficial fourth, and then one of the members. So at least we get
Definitely
a little bit of that. But
definitely,
there's still that small chance I'm going to get talked into like it making the trip. There's still
you're going, Jim.
Yes,
you are. No, you said this last year. You went to the Rumble and you were like, "I can't go to Mania. It's too expensive." And then we met you in LA.
So here's the thing. I already have a trip booked for Philadelphia later in the year. So it's like, am I going to make 2 trips to Philadelphia? But then again, she's already pushing it.
Smart girl.
See, Amanda knows, Jim.
Yeah, Amanda's awesome. Sir. Amanda's awesome. Thank you, babe. Courtney in the chat says, "What up? What up?" Hello, Nick. And yeah, no, it's Heidi. It's unfortunate, but it's that time of year where certain jobs are kicking people's butts. But he did say that he thinks Thanksgiving weekend is the only other Sunday he should miss. So,
okay,
hopes for that one, and hopefully he'll be back next week. But with that, we are going to move right into the Positively Awesome Wrestling Top 5 list of the week. Thank you. And this week, we will be doing 5 trades that the Drip King, Jimmy Bebe, would make right now. Now, when I get to number 1, it's a shocker, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of talking before I do it, so that it's not like this crazy. This is fantasy booking, so don't be ripping my head off, people. But
that's fine.
But we're gonna start off with number 5 here, and number 5 is Angelo Parker and Matt Menard for Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Basically, 2.0 rules and Los Lotharios. Now, my main reasoning for this one is I think 2.0 rules is definitely more of an entertainment-based tag team, and WWE is more entertainment-based. I was so sad when they got released. Oh, I was so sad. And then you have Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, who are as entertaining as they are. I feel like what they can do in the ring is probably more of what they have to offer. They're a tag team that's shown they got something to them. They could do some things. And I think a more fast-paced environment like AEW has to offer is probably more fitting for them. And it's probably going to be a better chance for Angel Garza to kind of break through and become that single superstar that a lot of people seem to think he can be, me being one of them. And 2.0 rules would fit in perfectly with teams like Pretty Deadly, Alpha Academy. Please. I need Daddy Magic and his hard nipples over in WWE again. I miss them so much. So with that said, y'all let me know what y'all think about the first trade I have on the docket here.
So you want them to ever rise again? Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I really don't. I like the idea. I think that. So I was with you when they were ever rising in NXT and they were doing those backstage promos. They were doing the pre shows, all that kind of stuff. They were super entertaining. Just 2 guys who you can see that were just pushing hard to get themselves over to get a spot on the show. And they always seemed like they had an affinity and a passion for it. So I think this is one of those instances where. Yeah, I think this makes total sense. Carrillo and Garza would benefit from not needing the mic skills to make it in the WWE like they might. So, yeah.
Nick?
You're not crazy, Jim. Congratulations.
A lot of people think I am, though.
No. Trust me, coming from a crazy man, you're not crazy. No, good idea. 2.0, who do rule, are, I believe, grossly underutilized by AEW because Tony Khan is a coconut moron 90% of the time.
Not my words, everybody. Not
no,
my
they're
words.
mine. They're mine. Fight me on the internet. I don't care. He is 2.0 been grossly misused. Putting them with Chris Jericho in the first place was a very good idea, but it became the case of everyone else that gets put with Chris Jericho. It's always about Chris Jericho, and they are just secondary. I loved them in NXT when they were there as Ever-Rise. I thought they were really going to break through and do something with them. But obviously, Vince was still around then and hates tag team wrestling. So they kind of suffered from that part of the regime. I also agree with you, Albert. I think Humberto and Angel would do much better in an environment when promos are not as necessary.
Yeah.
Like, Angel's just a star, and he has been for years. But the boy can't talk in English. Like, he can't.
It's serviceable enough.
It's better than Andrade.
Yeah.
It's better than Andrade's promos, but it's still not up to the standard that WWE require on a weekly basis.
Because if we look at it now, Shinsuke's doing just fine. And I think things could work for Angel Garza if given the opportunity. Because he has charisma for days. Like, I love his charisma. He just has a uniqueness about him. And it's just like, I just don't know what's ever going to happen with it. But to what you guys were saying, yes, AEW, the promos are not nearly as important. So,
and AEW does, I will give them credit in one instance, they do try to hide some of those guys, when they have those weaknesses behind managers. I think that's something that WWE should start investing in. You have somebody like Zelina Vega, who's an amazing promo. She should be with people that can't talk as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Andrade is the best recent example. They've just put him with CJ Perry.
There you go.
Well, until Miro murder screws him.
Yeah. And then before I even go to the next one, I'm just going to point out, like, I'm not doing the normal trades that we all see people talk like, I want Ricky Starks in WWE. Like, Ricky Starks ain't on my list for that reason only. You're getting 5 very unique trades here that you probably have never heard before. That's what I'm trying to bring to the table here, everybody. And that's why it's a positively awesome wrestling top 5 list and not just the regular old rinky-dink shit everyone else says. But both men like that one. I liked it too. That's why I picked it. So with that said, we're going to move on to the number 4. And this is where, man, I'm never happy that Tidy's not here. But I don't think Tidy would be very happy with this trade. So I don't have to piss him off face to face. So that's the good news on this one. And there's going to be a lot of groans on this one. But again, hear me out. Ethan Page for Johnny Gargano. And this one is dependent on the fact they let Ethan Page keep his channel. Let him keep doing his outside ventures. Same with all these other ones. Let them continue to do the things they do outside. You should never stop them from doing that. Let them make the money while they can. It's silly to not let them do that. But Ethan Page for Johnny Gargano for kind of, at least on Johnny Gargano's situation, same reasons for Humberto and Angel. He's a guy who can go. And there's a lot of matches in AEW that I would love to see him get in the, like, a lot of people I'd like to see him get in the ring with. Ethan Page is a guy who has probably been the most grossly misused talent in professional wrestling for a minute now. Like, he's super creative. He's got a good size to him. He uses the freaking razor's edge, for Christ.
Yeah.
What more could you want, people? I think he would be an amazing mid-card talent for WWE, which, again, we need more of those. They've been building it up anyway. Let him loosen the mid-card, and he's going to help. His creativity is amazing. He's a fantastic promo. And I think he's good enough in the ring to where he don't have to dial it back in WWE. He can just kind of do what he does, and he's a perfect fit, I believe. I think the only thing that held him back before is just his vlog and his other things that he does. You can't really do it in WWE. He couldn't. He might be able to do it now. I'm not sure. But that's why I'm picking Ethan Page for WWE. And Johnny Gargano, I know we just got DIY back. Trust me. This was not a fun one to make the decision on.
2 good tag matches in a week, 2 straight weeks. 2 good tag matches, 2 straight weeks with them.
I know, and I get it, but I think Tommaso Ciampa is good enough to stand on his own WWE. I don't think Johnny Gargano is. So that's why I ultimately pull the trigger on this trade right here. Nick, I'll let you go first. Please don't hurt
me. No. I love this. I think it's a brilliant idea. Johnny is much more suited to a wrestling-centric product. That's why he worked so well in NXT Black and Gold. Because Black and Gold was a very wrestling-centric product with WWE sprinkle of pizzazz on top. And Johnny worked very well in that. He also works very well when he's in a group and he's not the focal point of the vocals. But when he's on his own, yeah. Ethan, on the other hand, is like Barry Windham, but now. Ethan is a guy with buckets of potential that everybody can see, but for some reason, not the guy he works for. For some reason, the guy he works for just thinks, oh, I got a guy called Ethan Page. He uses the Razor's Edge. I'm going to put him over here. Instead of doing what he should do is have him front and center on camera every single week. I think Ethan would flourish under Triple H, like unbelievably so. And as you say, he used the Razor's freaking Edge, people.
It's the coolest finisher in the history of wrestling.
Best finisher in wrestling ever. Right? And he does the border toss variation, so not to rip off Scott entirely. So it's a tribute, not parody.
Yes.
Ethan is absolutely brilliant. He's my brother's favorite wrestler in current modern times. And my brother thinks he and Scorpio Sky are the most misused two people in AEW. And it's hard to argue. It's very hard to argue. Why they split them up as a team, I don't know, just because Scorpio got injured twice. It made no sense. They had phenomenal chemistry. All that stuff with Dan Lambert they were doing was amazing. And to see Ethan just flounder now is kind of disappointing. And I do feel without Tommaso, Johnny's screwed on the main roster.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing. We'd get the Tommaso Ciampa Johnny Gargano feud, and it would be awesome. But then after that, I don't know what you really do with Johnny Gargano.
No.
Albert, what about you, man?
I'm gonna counter the Johnny Gargano thing at the end.
I knew someone wasn't gonna like that trade.
No, I actually.
No, I'm talking about her. I'm talking about Courtney.
Okay.
I don't like that trade.
Ultimately, I don't disagree. And one of the first thing is this: when the North were tag team champions in Impact, there was a really big part of me that thought to myself, "Man, this team's gonna break up, and Ethan Page is gonna be a world champion."
Ain't that funny how that worked?
And here we are. And look, no, don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Josh Alexander, who I love. I think Josh Alexander is one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet right now. I think that if he was on a bigger platform, he'd be a monster star. He's got a little bit of everything. But Ego always just seemed like the natural, charismatic, I'm going to base my promotion around you because you can talk and you can work kind of a guy.
He's a good, the thing that I think gets over is he's a good sized wrestler too. He's not too big. He can literally get in there with anybody.
He reminds me, I feel like he's around the same size of a Damian Priest, where they're a bigger guy. Ironically, they both kind of use the Razor's Edge too. They both have like that Scott Hall kind of swagger to them in a way. Scott was also a big guy too. And during his time, there were a lot of bigger guys at that point, so he didn't seem like it. But if Scott Hall was around now, he'd be a giant. And that's what Ethan Page and Damian Priest both look like. I think Ego is the perfect fit for WWE. I think that the outside stuff that he does would bring more eyes to the WWE. All they have to do is just throw that shit on the network. That's perfect for them.
Like he's like right here, the toy hunt. Of all the vlogs that all the wrestlers do, Ethan Page is the only one I actively go out of my way to watch because he is an entertaining person and the vlogs are awesome. They're awesome.
So now my thing with Gargano, I agree. I think Gargano would flourish in AEW. However, I do also think that Johnny he comes across.
That's deceptive as heck, man.
Because I'm 6'1". He definitely seems like he's bigger than me.
He definitely looks like he's bigger. I'm about to.
Yeah. So I think that Johnny Gargano could benefit from being booked as a Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan-esque character. And I think he has enough personality to pull it off because you want to root for him. He's just so pugnacious and competitive, and and like a guy like his size, you're like, oh, okay, well, he's not going to win, but oh my God, he's in the fight. But oh my God, he's in the fight. But oh my God, he's in the fight. And it builds you up, and it builds this connection. That's what Sami Zayn had in the original Black and Gold NXT.
To counterpoint though, Albert. The guys you mentioned then, Brian, for example, had this natural charisma and chemistry with the fans on the microphone. Brian's never been the best talker, but he had this ability to connect with people. Johnny's ability to connect with people comes from his ring work. He connects emotionally through selling and telling stories in the ring. He's never done it on the microphone.
I agree. I 100% agree. I just think that he can be utilized as that kind of a player. And I think that he could dip his toes into the upper echelon of WWE if he gets that.
He'd have to catch lightning in a bottle. A little bit better. He'd literally have to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, and we've seen it happen with people.
Well, we have some. My at the end of the whole decision making, it was, do I think he's gonna be able to do that in AEW or WWE faster, or which one's more likely to me? And that's AEW was the answer, and that's why I did it. Again, I know it's not a popular one. I know it's not, but I'm trying to be fair here. I'm not just being like, all right, I want all the good guys from AEW to come to WWE, and I'm gonna send them, poo poo. I'm trying to make fair trades here that I think make the product better overall. I think Johnny Gargano would bring I'm fumbling over words. Bring a nice talent, like someone who's very smooth, someone who has some TV experience that can help in certain avenues. I know he did a bunch of stuff backstage with NXT to help that. I think he would just be a great addition to the AEW roster, and he can literally go international title. He could go after the TNT title. He could go after the world title. He could literally wrestle anybody on that roster, and it's gonna be a banger. So that was my idea there with Johnny Gargano and AEW. I know it's not popular, but I'm trying to be fair.
I like it.
Courtney is so mad about it. He's only 6'1", and that's crazy to me. I guess because everybody in AEW is kind of small, he just looks bigger than he is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would have never guessed he was 6'1". I would have guessed like 6'4", 6'5".
Well, when you see him stood next to Darby, he looks like a giant.
I guess everybody kind of does.
That's true. All right. So the next trade, I'm doing a 2-for-1 because I want to make it a little bit. Again, I'm trying to be fair here, and I'm taking one that I know AEW fans don't want to let go of. But it's my show, my list. I'll do what I want. Number 3, I want Willow Nightingale for Candice LeRae and Gigi Dolan. Now, again, this one seems a little bit odd because Candice and Gigi aren't even tag team partners. But the idea here is, one, Johnny Gargano's over there, so I want to keep them together. Send Candice over there. She's a veteran that can help with the women's division. She can get brutal, and they like to have them brutal matches over there. She's very, very brutal.
Oh, yeah. Everyone remember the trainer spot?
I think she's able to help them from top to bottom in that women's division. I think Gigi Dolan's kind of just not really doing much since Toxic Attraction's broken up. I think she has a lot more to offer. And I think AEW, she would get that opportunity probably a little bit more. I know that sounds crazy because everyone's like, AEW women, they don't book them right. Poo-poo. The idea
here is that we're Darby, isn't she?
Huh?
Gigi's still with Darby, isn't she?
Nah, they're not. But they're still friendly. There's no ill will there.
Zachary Wentz from who's in Impact right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But there's no ill will there. They're still on good terms from what I know and all that. I just think she has more to offer. And why not send her over to AEW where the women's division kind of needs more help? Again, she's got the experience in TV now. Like you don't have to teach her certain things for the television product. I don't think she's bad in the ring. I think there's probably more talent in AEW that I could list that are worse than she is, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. But I do think she's better than she's being presented right now in NXT. Willow Nightingale, charisma for days. That's the kind of charisma that shows up on WWE television, and the fans gravitate towards it. Do I see her being like a WWE champion? I don't know, but I think she has the potential to do so 100%. I think she has star written on her. And I don't mean this as a knock on AEW at all, but I feel like if someone's going to reach their full potential of a star, at this point right now, WWE is the place to do that. You're going to be able to do wonderful things in AEW, but if you want to reach the upper echelon of your star, like what you can do as a star, WWE is the place to be. It's not a knock. It's just, I believe it's a fact. So
James said so too. So
Yeah.
So right there. Yes. Thank you. So with that said, Albert, what do you think about this? This is probably the craziest trade as far as like randomness, but what do you think?
This might be the first one I flat out disagree with.
What the heck? Get off my show.
I'll give you Candice. I think Candice LeRae is the perfect addition to the AEW women's roster. I think she's just absolutely perfect there because she has experience. She has knowledge. She is a great teacher. She takes a lot of the NXT women under her wing, teaching them, the business. And I think that Candice has been around and she would be like the perfect mother for that locker room.
Yeah.
Where I think that they need that. I think Candice is perfect for that locker room. I'm gonna start with Willow first. The reason why I don't like Willow to WWE is not anything to do with Willow Nightingale. I just don't believe that WWE knows how to build that overly anxious, bubbly babyface anymore. We saw it with Bayley. It ran its course so quick on the main roster.
Quick question before we go any further.
Sure.
Do you think Bayley's bubbly babyface act was cheesier than what Willow Nightingale does?
Yes.
And I think Bayley's was cheesy AF.
Yeah. So, yes. 100% yes. I think so, too. I think that Willow seems more natural.
I get what you're saying 100%. I was just...
No, I'm with you. So I don't think it's not anything on Willow personally. I just think that WWE hasn't proven that outside of, they've proven that through adversity they can create stars. And it's usually people who are touching Roman Reigns right now are, pinging off of Roman and becoming their own stars. I just don't see that in the women's division right now. And I just think Willow would get lost in the shuffle pretty quick in WWE. Gigi, on the other hand, I think that Gigi's got such a good personality. I think it would be crazy for WWE not to bring her up to the main roster, to put her with somebody to show that. I think the perfect thing that Gigi Dolan could happen to Gigi Dolan is that she gets paired with somebody on the main roster that she can, be like a second, kind of like almost what Zoe Stark did, and then show her personality. And I think she'll win people over. I just do. And I think she's kind of tailor-made for WWE. I think in style, I think in ring, I think in personality.
Okay, so the thing with Gigi is when she was in Toxic Attraction and they had the War Games match, I remember she was over. They were chanting. Yeah. Gigi, they loved her, and they didn't pull the trigger on her. This is a problem WWE had for a while there, is they would refuse to pull the trigger on certain people at the right time. Keith Lee is another example of that. Oh my God, 2 times they missed the opportunities. But Gigi, I think, is one of those people. And then once Toxic Attraction kind of fell apart, she's kind of floundered. And I believe she even went on Twitter at one point, was like, man, I miss being, what was her other name? I can't remember her other name right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Priscilla Kelly.
There you go. Priscilla, she said she missed that. And it was like, yeah, it doesn't appear that she's happy. And if you look at her booking and how things are going for that, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And that's how I kind of looked at that.
That's fair.
But I get what you're saying 100%. I like Gigi. I think she has something about her that makes her stand out. The hair, there's something different about her. Her style's different and everything. I just don't know if it's going to work on WWE. That was my thing. And boom, Priscilla Kelly. So there we go. Yeah, Jimmy's an idiot right tonight. I'm fumbling over words all over the place. But
I do like how she used to call out the front row of NXT for breaking their necks during her entrance. That was just one of my funniest things that she ever did on Twitter. It was like a full month straight. She was just putting up clips of her walking to the ring and everybody just going.
It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. Nick, swing over you, man. What do you think about my crazy trade there?
Albert, I love you, but you're an idiot.
Hey, finally, I got one. All right, I'll take it.
All right. Willow Nightingale is tailor-made to work for Triple H. I do agree. Vince McMahon had no clue how to build the bubbly, sparkly babyface. That's why Bayley worked so well in NXT and then just did not translate on the main roster.
No.
Like, at all. Those stupid Bailey buddies and everything else had no place being on the main roster, right? They should have just changed the music, kept the gimmick, and let her put more of her own personality into it, and it would have gone over fine. But Vince doesn't do that. He always turns everything up to 11 for the cheese factor, and that's why we end up with people, well, turning on whatever thing they're presented with the product. But Willow is tailor-made for Triple H. She is naturally bubbly. It doesn't come across as forced in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
She is strong as all hell. Right? She's athletic as balls. Right? The girl can flat out go. She can cut a promo. She's not perfect at it, but she'll get better at that
She's young.
the WWE
She's
umbrella. She'll get better at that under the WWE umbrella. I feel that Willow Nightingale is another one of those girls who in AEW has already reached her ceiling as far as the ability to rise as a star. I think that TBS Championship, yep, definitely, but she's never going to win the AEW Women's Championship. I mean, she won the Owen Hart this year, and what have they done with it? Like, realistically, they interjected her in the Sky Blue Julia Hart missed storyline. But we all know how well that's going.
Keep going, Nick. I'm just
sorry. I was just yeah. It's just me, but even if she's not going to win that's nice. Even if you are not going to win a world championship in WWE, she'll easily team up with Bianca Belair and win the tag titles and make those belts relevant. Bianca and Willow would be a phenomenal team. I've been fantasy booking them in my head for a while. Okay. The Bays with the Power would be an absolutely phenomenal team. I'd love to see them there. And as far as Candice, I completely agree with everything you said, Albert. She is the perfect mother for the AEW women's locker room. It's someone who has got buckloads of experience. Everybody respects. And Candice is tough as balls. Right? She is a tough woman. Like, that woman is hard.
Yeah.
And to see her mix it up with the likes of Ruby, who was also willing to go to the lengths that Candice is going to, would really put a different feel to the AEW women's matches.
And when Tay Conti gets back, Tay Conti has proven to be a complete warrior in those kinds of matches. I would love to see a passing of the torch thing for Candice to say there.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be very cool.
Absolutely.
And also, I think Gigi Dolan is a square peg in a round hole in WWE.
I think Toxic Attraction worked.
Yep, Toxic
but
Attraction
once that was done, it was done. And it's like...
the other one, she's doing fine.
Yeah.
The other one's doing fine. She's sticking with the tag team thing, but she's moving her character forward with What's-Her-Face from Chase U. And they're doing a damn good job.
JCJ and Thea Hale. Yeah, they're
thank you.
And they're fun. I like that they've started to rub off on each other. It's been a good. She found her footing quicker than Gigi did, which was surprising because I really thought Gigi was going to be the one who was going to find her footing first.
I think everybody did.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think everybody thought Gigi was going to be the star that came out of this, and she's just kind of faded away into the background now.
It doesn't look like it's working for her. Like, she just kind of feels like she's lost in NXT. And I know she's talented, so it's like maybe a change of scenery would be beneficial for her. And that's ultimately why I pulled the trigger on that one.
Also, having her do something with Paige as like a protege type under Paige, I think Paige and Gigi on screen would have phenomenal chemistry.
Yep.
And I think that relationship would just work because they're both still so young. A lot of people forget Paige still isn't 30.
Yeah.
She's not 30 yet. So they're both still so young. I think that would really work. And I also think that Gigi would flourish under a indie-rific spotlight.
Yes. Yes.
You guys wait.
That's what Nick does. He persuades people. So now we will move on to number 2. And I don't think this one I don't think I even need to sell it that much. I think it's a no-brainer as soon as you see who it is. I've said it since day one. I think he needed to be in WWE. I think he's tailor-made for it, but his outside ventures are just kind of too much for him to give up. So hopefully that would be something they could figure out. But I want Danhausen for Tyler Bate. Because, as I've said, since forever ago. Danhausen in NXT. He's tailor-made for the NXT right now. A quirky character that just stands out and can be involved in anywhere. Bring him up to the main roster, and I know he can. He never gets credit for his wrestling, and whereas I don't think he's like a fantastic wrestler, he's still a good wrestler. He just doesn't get the opportunity to show it. So I think he could do that in WWE, let him wrestle for a little while, but then once that's kind of getting to the point where he's got to take a step back, he has a job in WWE for 20 years. He could literally just take R2's spot as the character who shows up, does something, entertains the folks because he's entertaining as all can be, and he's literally set for the next 20 years. You just got to let him do his outside things. You have to. Sometimes you got to let people just let him do it because they're worth it. Danhausen was in the top 10 for merchandise sales of AEW this year, and he's been on TV probably a total of 45 minutes. That's
he was the number one. He was the number one seller on Pro Wrestling Tees for about.
Yeah, he was the first person to dethrone CM Punk on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yes, he was.
That's insane to me, and I don't understand why he hasn't been like utilized more. I understand he was injured for the late recently, and that's why he hasn't been on. Before that, it was kind of just like so sporadic, and it was like, push this dude, man, get him on your TV more. So we do got Tozawa, but imagine his segment between Danhausen and Tozawa.
Oh God, Danhausen starts telling me he wants to be a ninja. Oh
yeah,
man, like, yes, it would be awesome. But like, that's what I'm like. Put Danhausen on SmackDown, Tozawa on Raw, and then switch them back and forth, and then have them cross pat. Like, man, I just think it's crazy not to. And then Tyler Bate, I know he's fantastic, but is he going to ever do anything? Is he going to break the glass ceiling in WWE? No.
That's tailor made for AEW.
Yes. Like, there's no. I'm sorry to say it. He is wonderful in the ring. 100%. He is awesome, amazing, all the stuff. There's a glass ceiling that he is never going to break through in WWE.
Well,
and that's why I want him in AEW.
No,
Nick, you got something to say? Let's hear it.
Yeah. Simon, funnily enough, had a conversation with me a while ago about this, which is Tyler Bate is a deer in headlights in WWE.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen Tyler live about 15 times, and in front of smaller crowds, that kid is so charismatic. He is like, his personality turns up to about 35 in front of a Progress Wrestling crowd. And the moment you put him in front of a WWE crowd, he looked nervous as hell. And he still looks nervous as hell when they put him in the big crowds in WWE. He's like a deer in headlights there. And it's nothing to do with his in-ring ability. Tyler Bate is one of the finest wrestlers to come out of Great Britain in years. And he's like 23 years old, 24 years old. But he's been there since he was 19. And he's still in NXT. That has to tell you something. But you take Tyler Bates' in-ring ability, his natural cheeky chappy charisma, and you put him in front of an AEW audience. You put him in the ring with Max. You put him in the ring with Guevara, with Sammy, with Jack Perry. You put him in the ring with any of the pillars, quite frankly, Orange Cassidy, any of these guys. He is going to have an absolute banger with each and every one of them. And his personality is going to come across more over there because he's going to feel more comfortable because it's more similar to what he's used to. Whereas, completely. And Danhausen should have gone to work for Triple H 8 years ago. There's not much more that should be said about this. The man is hilarious. Danhausen is the most committed wrestler in professional wrestling today because he has only ever broken character for one interview. It's a fascinating interview, by the way, because hearing him speak normally is a very odd experience. Because
I can imagine. I haven't heard it. I can imagine.
He looks like a totally different human being when he's not in character.
Oh yeah. I've seen him without it. I've never heard his normal voice. I've met him twice, so it's like
He has what I can only describe as a generic accent from you lot. Like, it's not like a distinct Texas twang or a Carolina roll or that Yankee term from you get from New York. It's like he's just got this very no, I forgot about it. He's just got this very
he
regular.
Doesn't talk like me.
No. He's just got this very monotone, regular American accent. And it's very weird hearing that, but that's off topic. The fact is, I don't know if any of you will agree with me on this, but I think something done with Luke Gallows and Danhausen would be the funniest piece of material we'd ever seen in WWE.
Yes.
Because, one, Luke Gallows loves Danhausen. He thinks he's hilarious.
Who doesn't love Danhausen? Everybody loves Danhausen.
Everybody loves Danhausen.
Love that Danhausen.
So please make WWE very nice, very evil. That's it. Anything
you want to add quick?
Yeah, real quick. If WWE isn't micromanaged Danhausen, yes.
That's my piece. I don't want him micromanaging him. You got to let him do what he does for sure. Obviously, you got to kind of be there to be like, that doesn't work. This.
Sure.
But don't micromanage him at all. No, 100%.
Let him keep the character the way it is. Let him make those decisions that he needs to make because that's what's gotten this character over.
Yeah.
And in terms of Tyler Bate, tailor-made for it. The only way I see Tyler Bate being very successful in WWE is the same thing as I described with Johnny Gargano, lightning in a bottle. That's it. So unless he's going to find that, I think AEW would help him to find a more fleshed out character for himself so that if he did want to come back to WWE, he would probably be able to establish himself a lot better.
So there we go. I'm doing good here. And now for the final one. And now what I need you to understand is this is going to shock the shit out of y'all. I know it is. I can't wait to see the faces. Matter of fact, I'll just do it before I say my piece on it because the last trade, the number one trade I would make right now, the Young Bucks for New Day. Now, anybody who knows Jimmy Bebe at all knows I have a very heavy disdain for the Young Bucks. Part of that disdain, though, is that they don't have anybody kind of slowing them down. I think they need to slow down at times and then let loose when it matters most.
Less is more.
WWE, that's the way they do things. So it would work there. Now, obviously, this is under the idea that they're not EVPs. Obviously, I don't think they would ever leave their EVP roles to come to WWE. That's not the case. But if they weren't, I would put them in WWE for the simple fact, the tag team division, we were talking about this, I think 2 weeks ago, Albert. We think the tag division in WWE is looking more promising than it has probably in over a decade.
Yeah,
it's looking like things are shaping up really nicely. The New Day is probably the stalest tag team that we have in WWE. I don't think they're a bad tag team. They're just stale. The Young Bucks have kind of grown stale in AEW, and this isn't me talking. This is a lot of people I've seen say this, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy. I'm not a hater. It's the truth. You switch these two stale teams to companies that they've never worked at before, wrestling teams they've never wrestled before, and you've basically taken veterans, put them in locker rooms where they can help, and also put on matches that they've never done before. It freshens them up without having to repackage them because they're both at stages of their career, but they don't need to be repackaged. That would be crazy to repackage the Young Bucks or New Day at this point. Also, what it allows is Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, who are also singles wrestlers, very successful singles wrestlers, to maybe do something that they're not going to be able to do in WWE at this point. I've been pushing for an Xavier Woods singles push like forever. I wrote a crazy article at one point where I said he should just own Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Don't hate me. This was long before we were at the 2-year mark. So don't crucify me. But anyways, my point is, I think he could.
Xavier Woods was the last person to get a pinfall victory over Roman Reigns.
He didn't pinfall. He won by DQ.
I thought he won with the backwards.
Nope. He won by DQ, and then Roman squashes his crown and all that.
Corbin was the
beginning of the story in which I said, "Oh, he should be the guy," but that's for another day. I think Xavier Woods would do really well in AEW. I think Kofi Kingston's at the stage of his career where he's just kind of there to help the next generation kind of come up. while also being a veteran leader in the back that can help make things a little tighter. And the Young Bucks are putting on matches against the likes of the Creed Brothers. That's a new tag team coming up. Pretty Deadly. Who doesn't want to see a tag team match between Pretty Deadly and the Young Bucks? We just listed them off the other way, and I don't have them on top of my head. But I know the tag division is looking better than it has in years.
You have Imperium, DIY, the Creed
Well,
Brothers.
DIY is gone now, so
The DIY no longer exists.
Sorry. All right. Well, then I take that back. But then, yeah, you saw.
I agree 100%, Scotty. This is 100% fantasy. But I can't even believe I put this on here. But I wanted to make a nice little crazy one.
Well, I agree with this, but for a completely different reason for what they bring to the other company. Being the elite and up, down, down. I think AEW could phenomenally use and needs an outside venture like up, down, down that attracts a different audience that also are wrestling adjacent in gamers. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm also, as you know, a massive gamer. Right? I spend all of my time playing computer games when I'm not watching wrestling. It's what I do. Right? That audience very much fits the AEW audience. I know this because I am part of that audience. And AEW, the style of AEW very much fits my ADHD adult brain. And it's very good to flipping just. I believe that up, down, down would help bring an audience to AEW that it currently doesn't have, that it should be trying to attract.
Yeah.
And in the same process, I believe that being the elite as part of your new backstage promo style for WWE programming and being able to fold in other teams and other mid-card acts and other guys onto the being the elite promo, onto the being the elite style of doing things is a good way to get them over. It's a good way to introduce new characters, and it's a good way to feed in little storyline beats. And I think that would work better under WWE supervision than it does currently now, because it's kind of just become the Young Bucks travel vlog again in recent times. And I think that up, down, down would be a massive boon to AEW. And
Kenny Omega is going to be a common occurrence on that show too. Like he will be on all the time, and that's all where your AEW fan, your crazy AEW fan base is like, Kenny Omega's on there. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I think it would. Yeah, it's a perfect fit there.
Mm-hmm.
Albert, what about you?
So, how many times can we now see the same old, hey, you want to be friends with other people? How come you don't want to be friends with me? Storyline with the Young Bucks. I mean, seriously, like, how many times are we going to see it? I've never seen two people who book themselves to look like more of, the kind of kids that would take their basketball and go home, rather than let the other kids play with it without them. You know what I mean? In the history of my life. It's amazing to me that the Young Bucks have figured out a way to become stale in a company that, worships. It's
supposed to be tailor-made for them.
Yeah, they worship the ground that the Bucks walk on. They really do. I think it's perfect. I think they're tailor-made. I think that we talked about it before. I was listing off those teams. There are so many teams: the Brawling Brutes, Pretty Deadly, Imperium, DIY, the Judgment Day. These are teams that we've never seen the Young Bucks wrestle. It's an amazing thing because the Young Bucks have almost wrestled everybody. So brand new, comes over there. We get a chance to go see them, face these other teams. And, again, same thing. Kofi and Woods, I think Kofi's not a tag wrestler in AEW. Kofi Kingston comes to AEW. Kofi Kingston is an upper mid-card guy immediately in my eyes. There is nobody in that company that I don't see Kofi Kingston being able to go one-on-one with. And I think that he's going to be so fresh, and his style on the microphone fits AEW so well. He could be world champion within months of being there. Now, can you imagine seeing Kofi Kingston versus Swerve one-on-one for the AEW world title? Give me that. Kofi Kingston he's not going to be a mid-card guy. He's not going to be a tag wrestler. Kofi Kingston is a main event star.
Let me tell you something, I didn't send them over there for Kofi to be the world champion. I sent him over there so Xavier Woods could be the world champion. Don't take this from me. I want Xavier to be world champion.
If you let me get there, I was going to say, as soon as Kofi was done with that reign, that's Woods right up to take that spot.
Okay, you saved yourself.
Everything right back up because Woods now slots into that while becoming this upper mid-card guy, slots right into all these feuds that Kofi had, and now it's fresh again. It's the other half of New Day. I mean, it's foolproof. They could run AEW.
So overall, I did a pretty good job then. I didn't screw the pooch here. I was very fair here, and I think I made it better for everyone involved. So booyah. There you go. Suck on it, hater. Before we go to the next thing, CM Punk alert. I'm wearing a CM Punk shirt on a Sunday. So obviously Punk to GCW is confirmed. No WWE, no AEW. He's not the devil. He's not joining the Survivor Series War Games. He's going to GCW, clearly, because I'm wearing it on a Sunday. But now that we got that out of the way, we are going to move on to quickly the Women's War Games match, because it hasn't been announced. But after this, I think it's all but confirmed. It's definitely going to happen. We got Asuka, Kairi Sane, Io Sky, and Bayley, for the time being, teaming up to take on Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Shotzi, weird one, and then I hit the wrong button. We don't know who the fourth would be.
We do.
I've seen the rumors that it's Becky Lynch, and let me tell you something right now. As one of the biggest Becky Lynch fans on the planet, boo-ha. I don't see any way, shape, or form how that can happen, and it makes sense. I just can't. I'm willing to listen to ideas. I'm willing for them to convince me. What?
Didn't they do this with Becky last time too? Wasn't she the mystery fourth person the last time too? What I feel like that was.
I can't remember.
Right?
I can't remember because it wasn't very memorable. So I don't remember it.
That's my point. That's why I'm with you on this.
Yeah. So with that, Nick, I'm gonna let you go first because I feel like you have something you're gonna convince me with. I don't want to spend too much on this one.
Right.
We went a little bit over on the other one, but feel free to convince me.
Right. This would be Sasha Banks if Sasha Banks still worked in the company.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because Triple H loves to keep them horsewomen front and center. And he always will until the moment they need to retire. Seth is already in a War Games match. So his wife is going to be in the other one. Because when Seth has a Hell in a Cell, Becky has a Hell in a Cell. When Seth wins the Royal Rumble, Becky wins the Royal Rumble. This is just what happens. It doesn't make any goddamn sense because Becky is a Raw superstar, not a SmackDown superstar. So why would she have any contact with them in the first place? But I have one question for you, Jim. If not Becky, who on the SmackDown roster can do it?
That's what we're here to discuss, baby.
This is an issue. This is an issue because I've been thinking about this and I'm having trouble pinpointing a member of the female division on SmackDown that isn't the women already in this match.
So I got a list for you. Let me pull it up for you. On SmackDown, the women are Alba Fire. So probably not her. B-Fab, definitely not her. Dakota Kai, can't be her. Isla Dawn, won't be her. Kayla Braxton, not going to be her. Michin is the only one I was kind of like, maybe. She has experience in War Games. Triple H has put her in there before. I can see that one kind of just being a random one they throw in there, kind of like Shotzi. Shotzi was put in this match because she's a crazy wrestler and she's going to do something crazy. And Triple H.
No. She's put in this match because she's had 2 tag matches with Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
For no reason at all, though. It was literally just
except they were for a reason. They were for so they could put her in this match.
Yes.
So, exactly. And it was so that Charlotte Flair could go after the tag titles afterwards because she has to always be involved there.
Just that belt.
Scarlett, Tamina, and then Zelina Vega. And the only reason I don't think Zelina Vega is because she's in the LWO business and we saw what's happening there.
Yeah.
So as far as SmackDown women goes, that's it.
And this highlights my point. There is no woman on the SmackDown roster that is a big enough name to be in that ring. Shotzi is probably taking the pin in this match. I think we can probably agree on that. Shotzi's probably getting pinned.
I don't think so.
Do you think the babyface?
I think Bayley's getting pinned for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm down with that. Yeah, I can see that. But it's got to be Becky, Jim.
It's gonna be Becky because Bianca's gonna be like, "Yeah, we went through war together. Now we're best friends." And then Charlotte's gonna be like, "I hate that bitch." And then Becky. See, this is why I don't want it to happen, because I feel like it just ends with Charlotte and Becky going back at head to head again, and I don't ever want to see it ever again, never again. And that's my issue with Becky joining this thing. Albert, do you have anything better than Becky Lynch? Please tell me you do. Please tell me you do.
Nobody from the main roster.
That's what I was about to.
You want the perfect place to call somebody up? Roxanne Perez is right in NXT right now. Put her in this match right now. Let her make a name for herself. Oh, and it could just be, and I think that it's just a simple thing as you have Bianca there with Charlotte and Shotzi, and she's like, okay, well, that's it. We don't have anybody. Everybody hates Charlotte. Shotzi's a weirdo. No one wants to come anywhere near me. We don't have anybody who wants to have our backs. Okay, I guess we're going in. And Roxanne Perez just goes, hey, I was down there. I saw you guys needed somebody. I'm willing to go to war with you. Boom, done. Slide her right in. I'm fine with it. It's a perfect way to call her up to the main roster.
So I do like this idea. I don't know how likely it is. Let me pull it up again. Scotty brought it up. Where'd it go? I can't find it because my mouse doesn't work that way. But he brought up Jade Cargill. What are the, just real quick, the odds that it's Jade Cargill?
0%.
Okay.
2%.
Okay. I think there's a match that you can mask her shortcomings in the ring.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you put her in this kind of spot, because then where does she go from there?
Not only that, if you're going to give her a match to have her first match be like her first major match, the spotlight needs to be on her, not as one of 8 women in a big brawl. It needs to be on her.
Yeah, but if this match is booked correctly, it can be on her.
Sure, it can be.
And by the end of it, they can have her in a directed feud with Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, or, well, not Shotzi, but she could be put into a directed feud with Bianca or Charlotte via winning the match at their expense.
I do like the idea of it being a way you bring up someone from NXT. I just don't know who it would be. I just don't. Valkyrie? Becky. No, because that was with Becky. So that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know.
That's the only reason why I brought up Roxanne, because I don't think there's anybody else in NXT right now as a babyface that's ready for that spot. I think Roxanne's the one.
I think if they were going to call Gigi in a spot to just kind of let her thrive, I think this would be a spot. But I don't know
if they were going to put her with Shotzi as a tag team. Sure.
Yeah, I just don't know what that. I just don't know if that's what's going to. It doesn't feel like that's what they're going to do. So I'm not going to say that. It's going to be Becky, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's probably going to be, and I don't like it. And the thing is that how many times are you going to keep relying on these women to bail you out where you can build new stars?
I mean, I feel like they're in the process of doing that. It's just nobody makes sense right now. That's the problem.
They really don't.
If Dakota Kai was not injured, this would be a perfect spot to just kick Bayley out right now, and then Bayley joins the other team, and then obviously. But then again, you also only have 2 weeks to set that up, so it doesn't work either. It's gonna be Becky Lynch. I'm gonna say Meechin just for shits and giggles.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to be Becky.
So I don't want it to be Becky, but I'm a realist. It's gonna be Becky.
if this was a prediction show, I'm taking Becky. It's not a prediction show, so I'm going crazy. I pick Meechin. What about you, Albert? Who's your final say?
I'm going to go with Roxanne Perez. I'm going to throw it out there.
I like it. We're going crazy with it. I like it.
Yeah, why not? Let's have fun.
So with that said, we're going to go quickly to our favorite moments of the week so that we can get to Nick's question of the week, whatever he got cooking for us. I can't wait. He was very excited about that. So favorite moments of the week. Albert, hit it up. You are first. What was your favorite moment from this week?
Pretty Deadly wasn't on TV this week, so I can't, supplement my, my usual.
Thank you. No, I'm just joking. I like Pretty Deadly.
So I think this week was a fun week of wrestling. I thought we had a lot of good things. I actually think that this is one of those weeks where all the shows were kind of just good. There was nothing that like really stood out like heavy for me. You know, I
We've
do
been
like.
spoiled lately.
I think so. I think it's an embarrassment of riches, right?
Yeah.
You know, like like I think the shows have been really good. I think that one of the big things that I will pull out is the continuing build for LA Knight. He lost the match and they kept their foot on the gas pedals. They didn't let up. He's still one of the, he's still, like a focal point of the show. He got a win. He's, being looked at as, as one of those guys on SmackDown. So he got the Roman Reigns rub, and I think they're working with it.
This was a fantastic thing. NXT. I sat there and watched NXT, and I loved it because Alpha Academy was there. But that's not going to be my thing. Nick, what about you, though? What was your favorite moment from the week in wrestling?
Kenny Omega calling the Young Bucks little bitches.
Ha!
I love that.
Like,
that's the one.
I am a detractor of the Young Bucks over the years. I give them credit where credit is due. They are a phenomenal in-ring tag team. They've always been a phenomenal in-ring tag team. The problem is they're a couple of immature pricks. All right? That's where the problem lies. They should never have been put in a position in power in a wrestling company. However, hearing Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho basically call them immature bitches and then set up a match that I am very excited to see, right? Because anytime you get to see Kenny versus the Bucks, it always delivers. And having Chris Jericho in that mix adds a veteran pinch of salt, which I like. It's almost kosher salt that they've added to that mix with Chris Jericho, and I think it's going to be very entertaining and very good. But seeing the Young Bucks play the same old story that, as you pointed out earlier, Albert, that they have played 1,000 times before, but for finally it to be Kenny that has turned round and pulled them on it in storyline. Stop being so fucking childish. Grow up. You're supposed to be professionals and act like it. Hearing this from their very best friend and kind of mentor was hilarious to me. I sat there and I broke out in giggle fits on the couch. It was absolutely brilliant. It's made me want to see a match in a storyline I don't care about and haven't cared about for 6 years. But it was funny. And anytime I get to see Matt and Nick Jackson put in their place is a thoroughly entertaining day.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
That's the hater. That's the hater Jimmy talking right there. It was beautiful. I will say, for the people who like to accuse WWE of their revisionist history, how they change history all the time, I did catch the Young Bucks were like, we're the 4 that created this whole thing. You seem to be forgetting somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm just going to point it out. That was a lie. There you go. You are a liar for sure. But that's okay. That's okay. It's not even anything to be mad about. I do think it's funny, though, that nobody called that out.
Of course not. Why would they?
Come on. What are we doing here, everybody?
I wrote a whole article about that, but hey.
Go check it out on Wrestle Buddy. Get at it. My favorite moment of the week. 2 weeks in a row, I'm going with AEW here. It's not Roddy Strong, even though I could talk about Roddy Strong for a good hour. I love everything he's doing. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. He is amazing. He is very entertaining.
Inspiration.
I would never think that I was ever going to say it in my life that Roddy Strong is entertaining, but here we are. But my favorite moment of the week is kind of a continuation of what they've been doing. The Devil saga, the storyline we're doing. Who is the Devil? And whereas I think a lot of people really feel like they know who it is, I do think they've done a fantastic job of making it last this long without it being overkill. We've seen 2 attacks, and both attacks have made sense with how the story's progressing. This is the kind of angle we've been kind of begging AEW to do. Give us something on a week-to-week basis that keeps us invested and is circled around your stars, MJF. We need that kind of stuff to keep us invested on a week-to-week basis. And they're doing it, and they're doing it fantastically. So much so that if this angle doesn't deliver, it's a problem. I think that's a good thing you have, though, because you have an angle that's so good that we want it to be like, we want to be rewarded for it. Hope they can. I think they will. As long as it's not Jungle Boy, I think we're fine.
Unfortunately, there's a high likelihood it's Jack.
Well, I saw people like, well, the glass spot. That's a shut up.
No.
It's not Jack
No.
Perry. I don't think
No.
Tony's that crazy. I really don't.
I still think it could be Kyle O'Reilly.
That was.
I would like that.
That's who I said. I'm kind of leaning more and more towards. No, this is crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to believe. And this is why I'm picking this angle right now for my moment of the week, because when you make me want something, you've won. You've pulled me in, you've hooked me, and that's what I'm looking for. I want to feel something. So when it's revealed and it's not Punk, I'm going to be mad because there's been enough hints that it could be Punk. But in all likelihood, it's not. But if it's Adam Cole, I'm not mad. If it's Kyle O'Reilly, I'm not mad. All those things make sense. Jack Perry does not make sense. There not be Jack Perry. Even if it's Tony Khan, which I wrote the article about, I love it. So good job on this whole angle. Whoever's responsible for it, brilliant. This is what we want more of in AEW. At least I do. That's what I want more of in AEW. I think this is the kind of things that's going to get you more continuous viewers on a week-to-week basis.
You need week-to-week storytelling in a professional wrestling company to keep the casual fans entertained.
And I know the hardcore fan base is like, well, they do things here and they do. Those things do not matter to the people who are tuning into AEW on a week-to-week basis. I tune in to see the AEW roster on AEW television because they are signed to AEW.
Yeah.
What they're doing elsewhere, that's cool for them. Happy for them. But a lot of people don't have time to sit there and pay attention to all those other shows. It doesn't work. Give me stuff on AEW on a continuous basis from week to week to week, and I'm hooked. This is what Heidi brought up last week. There was nothing hooking him. It was just kind of things being thrown out there, and he had to do research. And you know what? If it's not part of the show, why would I do research? Right. That's not why I'm tuning in to watch TV. I'm tuning in to be entertained. So,
one of the reasons Tony Storm is so over at the moment.
Exactly.
It's a continuous storyline and character that is progressing week by week and everyone's being okay with it.
Even if she doesn't have a match, they're finding a way to get her on there and entertain. It's almost like we've been fucking giving you the blueprint forever on this shit. But it's not a knock because, again, I love it. Thank you. Give us more. I'm very excited to I'm not missing Full Gear. I can't remember the last AEW pay-per-view where I was like, I'm not going to miss this. The last few I've just been like, if I check it out live, awesome. If I don't, I'll check it out later. It's no big deal. I'm watching this one live. I want to know. So, and now with that said, look at that AEW 2 weeks in a row. I ain't no hater. Question of the week, because it took guests and questions, put them together, and that's what we're doing here. Nick, the floor is yours, good sir. What do you want to chit-chat about here in the last bits of the show?
Ladies and gentlemen, and gentlemen, I would like to discuss Ring of Honor. Oh, more specifically, the rumors that Ring of Honor is going to be sold by Tony Khan as a cost-cutting measure. Now, the question I have for you is, when did he drop the ball with Ring of Honor? How did he drop the ball with Ring of Honor? And can he salvage Ring of Honor? Because apparently he turned down a television deal offer for Ring of Honor because he believes he will have more leverage once the AEW TV rights are also up in the air.
So I'll answer the second part of that question where he failed them. Was that the second question?
Correct.
Okay, right there.
Yeah.
By not getting them on TV for your audience, like, look, make it if you wanted to leverage it for a higher deal, just do a short term or something. I don't know. Get them on TV because that's what's holding them back at the moment as far as it being a more successful brand, I guess. I don't know how you even weigh success because it's not. I don't know. This is a weird one just because Ring of Honor works with what it's doing because it's never been a weekly television show. Like, right? Mm-hmm. It's never been on weekly television.
Yeah, so to say it was for a little bit, but
was it like on a cable network?
It was.
It was on for a little while.
Okay.
During the Jim Cornette era.
Yes. Yes.
I just think if you have that opportunity and you don't take it, I think that's crazy, and I think I understand his reasoning, but at the same time, I think you could have worked around it.
I agree.
What was the first part of the question?
Where did he screw up with Ring of Honor?
I think by infusing both shows together so soon, because it's hypocritical of people to praise WWE for what they're doing with NXT by having them come in and out of Raw and SmackDown and all this stuff, and then say you shouldn't do that with Ring of Honor and AEW. My issue with it is that as soon as it happened, it seemed like we saw it happen on AEW TV. It was like he was getting it out there and getting it out there. And then
Ring of Honor is poisoning AEW television.
Yeah, you have AEW roster people like MJF, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, people who are kind of a big deal on your AEW roster, parading around with your Ring of Honor belts. How many times has Maxwell Jacob Friedman been on Ring of Honor show? Adam Cole?
Well, not in many years.
But since Tony Khan has purchased it.
Big Fat Zero.
Okay. The Young Bucks and Hangman Page were the trios champions. How many times were they on AEW television?
Big Fat Zero.
So that's my issue with it. It's like if they're on Ring of Honor when they're Ring of Honor champions, and then they're periodically on AEW, I get it. You're trying to get more eyes on it so that people move over. But if you're just literally throwing it out there and it's not on AEW, the only Ring of Honor champion that's on their show weekly is
Athena,
right? Am I wrong?
No, you're 100%
like
right.
Samoa Joe, was he ever on Ring of Honor like TV?
Yes.
Okay.
Joe, to be fair, was on Ring of Honor TV most weeks.
Okay.
Then he was having tag matches with Stokely Hathaway. It was pretty funny.
That's fair. I know he had done the pay-per-views. I just wasn't sure if it was a week-to-week show.
And is Eddie Kingston still the champion?
Yeah.
When was the last time
he did it? I thought, is he?
I think so.
He is.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and who's Eddie Kingston? Who's Eddie Kingston's next challenger?
Who?
Jay Lethal.
That's right. And that's
where is Jay Lethal not signed to?
Okay. So is any of that unfolding on Ring of Honor's television show?
Nope.
It's all on AEW. And that's the issue I have is it's like, this isn't the Ring of Honor show. This is the AEW show. Don't do your big Ring of Honor stuff on this because you're kind of, it's like you don't want to succeed with Ring of Honor. It's a weird. And what was the third part of the question?
So I think just real quick,
how can he fix Ring of Honor?
Separate them, and then once Ring of Honor is more established with your champions and your roster, then start to incorporate a little bit more. That's all.
Well, I was talking to my brother about this the other day, Albert, and we were both saying the same thing. They have poisoned AEW programming with Ring of Honor, and they have poisoned the Ring of Honor title scene with AEW wrestlers.
Yeah.
How do you feel this can be fixed quickly, but correctly?
So there's look, first and foremost, I'm almost unanimously in agreement with everything that Jimmy said in terms of how he messed things up. Look, I get it. There's a lot of people that are going to sit there and they're going to look at Vince McMahon and think that man's the devil. The one thing that Vince McMahon was never afraid to do was to take a risk. Yes, there are times where you're going to have partners in business, but that doesn't mean that those are the only people you're allowed to do business with. If someone comes along and says, "Hey, we know you're working with Warner, but here's this other opportunity where we can get this brand that you want to get established onto television," and he says, "Hey, I don't want any bad faith with Warner." That's all well and good, but Warner can turn around tomorrow and say, "Hey, you know what? We can pay WWE, a couple of $1 million more and get double the amount of people watching our channel when then we want to watch wrestling. So buy AEW." So that's the thing. This is the wrestling business, not the wrestling friendship. I get what Tony Khan's trying to do, and that's it's a nice sentiment. It really is. But you screwed Ring of Honor by not putting them on television. You're also screwing Ring of Honor by not making the major stories that go on Ring of Honor television.
Yeah, if I have no reason to tune in.
Right. What's the reason for me to tune in if all the major storylines are going on AEW television? Wrestling fans are already saying, about AEW. You guys are introducing so many new characters. We don't know who they are. You're not telling us who they are. And we don't want to do the research for it. You should tell me who's on your TV show. How are we going to, like, how is that? Like, if you're in Ring of Honor, you're literally telling me I have to watch a whole other television show just to understand the television show that I'm supposed to be watching. Like, that's just, you're making it hard. And what Jimmy said earlier, yes, WWE is integrating NXT talent on WWE television, but it never takes them away from NXT television. When Trick was on SmackDown, he was still on NXT. When Dom is on SmackDown, he's still on NXT. So at least if that's going to be the case, they're integrating them into the brand and they're still active on that brand. They're not just disappearing champions.
The biggest difference is when Becky Lynch was the champion, she's a Raw talent, she was NXT champion. The stories were progressing on NXT television. There was subparts of that story on Raw, and that was to get people to be like, okay, what's Becky doing? She's got this thing. They tune in to NXT, they see the story progressing, and it gives them the option to be like, okay, I like this or I don't like it, so I don't tune in anymore. Well, with Ring of Honor, I don't see any reason to tune in if literally the stories are progressing on AEW television. It's like, okay, well, I'll just keep watching AEW then.
For me, the straw that's broken the camel's back was Joe surrendering the TV title on Dynamite this week.
Man.
Right? Because, so I get the fact that he didn't lose to Keith Lee because he's going to go after Max and they want to keep him strong and blah, blah, blah.
I got
blah,
more
blah.
for it for you, though.
Right? I'm fine with that. But you literally just had a guy who's just broke the record, Jay Lethal's record for longest reigning TV champion of all time, go, yeah, this is a pittance. Don't need this anymore. I want the big belt. You've just devalued the longest title reign in your company's history.
Yep.
Instantly by having him surrender that title and say he's surrendering it because he wants to go after the AEW world title. Joe should have dropped that belt properly. It didn't have to be in a one-on-one match so he loses credibility. Put him in a three-way, put him in a four-way, have somebody take the TV title that way. But they should have had somebody beat him for that belt to keep the credibility on that championship.
Let me see if I can persuade you a little bit. They did this is on AEW for not telling this story, but this is how I perceived it to be. Was Keith Lee Samoa Joe's biggest test to date as far as what we saw happen in the ring?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so Samoa Joe is in this chase for Max's world title, and he doesn't want anything getting in the way of getting that world title. Like, that's the story I'm supposed to believe. He wants that world title. So if he just had a just slobber knocker, like JR would say, with Keith Lee, it's kind of the realization is sinking in that, man, this is almost a distraction for what my goal is. So that's why he's relinquishing it. So he doesn't have to sit there and worry about the TV title being a hindrance on what his objective is. They didn't do a good job of telling that. But they didn't do anything to tell that. But that's kind of how I was watching it unfold, being like, that's kind of how I see it playing out. But I do get that if he literally was just like, yeah, I don't want it anymore. That's shitty. Yeah, 100% that's shitty. But that's just not how I perceived it.
But the other thing is that we've already have an established Ring of Honor champion currently holding an AEW championship. So if it's not a hindrance for MJF to hold the tag titles, why is it a hindrance for Joe to hold the TV title? Just say, hey, I'm going to hold this hostage.
Max is having to wrestle him twice a pay-per-view. And
because Max is the baby face and we're supposed to cheer for him, and Samoa Joe is the heel and he's supposed to be taking the easy way out.
I get that, but again, we're in the idea of this being a more sports-based program, right? You know, that's the thing. This is where AEW backs themselves into a corner sometimes.
I think they're moving away from that, though.
Max and look, okay, I get it. Max and Adam, they're baby faces right now. Are they really baby faces? They're just heels that we like. You know what I mean? So why they should be taking those same things. It's that Max has never shied away from who he is, right? I'm a scumbag. I'm a pure scumbag now, right? So wouldn't Max be like, yo, why am I holding two championships and defending two championships because if I don't have to, you know?
He's no longer playing for the crowd. He's playing to the crowd. And that's why I always said he would be a better babyface, is because when you play to the crowd, you get them more invested. Whereas when you're playing for the crowd, if you're not being funny, they're not really going to give a shit what you're saying, Max. And that's why he always had to do those desperate things to get heat sometimes. And I'm not shitting on Max. He's phenomenal. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes he would have to just go a little bit too far to get that heat. Whereas as a babyface, like, no, he's here to perform for us. He's not talking at us, he's talking for us. And that's why they can celebrate it. And that's why he can sit there and be like, well, I have this title and this title. I can't just drop it because one, he's tag team champions with his best friend. He doesn't want to let that go. And two, he's performing for the people. He's performing for because he's their scumbag. He doesn't want to let them down now. And that's kind of how I see it. Again, I know I've been accused in the past, and it's probably true, where I'll sit there and move some pieces around to make things make sense for me. But I'm happy when I watch it, so who gives a shit? That's what I always say. That's just how I've looked at it. But I do get that it could be just like a complete shitting all over Ring of Honor by just being like, yep, this means nothing to me. So.
One final question, and this goes to both of you. Name me 5 guys on the Ring of Honor roster that should be the champions right now.
Dalton Castle. Put all the titles on Dalton Castle, even the women's championship.
Yeah, he just lost to Nick Wayne, so I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Yeah.
I was very surprised that Dalton Castle wasn't one of the guys you wanted to trade to WWE, Jimmy. I'm just throwing that out.
He was on my list. He was on my list.
Yeah.
He really was. He really was. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Collision. I didn't even read up on it yet. I tried to watch
Nick Wayne beats him on Collision. Beats him clean.
You want to know what Tony Khan ruined Ring of Honor? Right there. Oh, my God.
Yeah. My brother was fuming when he found out that Nick Plain, as he calls him, beat Dalton Castle.
But back to Shane Taylor. He's on the Ring of Honor roster, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Ego is on the Ring of Honor roster, is he not?
Nope. AEW is new contract.
Although the story he's in is on Ring of Honor with Tony Nese.
Yes.
I'm gonna cheat.
Like, this is what I don't understand. Like, I wanted to say, hey, Ego would be a perfect guy to put the Ring of Honor World title on.
Problem.
Oh no, wait, he's not Ring of Honor.
At the moment, with the exception of Athena, all the Ring of Honor belts are held by AEW contracted wrestlers.
AR Fox.
Okay.
Action Andretti.
No.
I know he's
said that could hold a championship.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just talking about the roster because I don't know who's on the roster. Because I've never been given a reason to watch Ring of Honor.
Exactly. And this is my overall point.
Bandito. There you go.
Oh,
There's one to put a title on.
Yeah, but this is my overall point.
And I like Nese and Dr. Woods, by the way, as a tag team.
Right. All the belts, with the exception of Athena, are held by AEW contracted wrestlers, not Ring of Honor contracted wrestlers.
And as you pointed out, hardly any of them show up on Ring of Honor television.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right. They're never on Ring of Honor TV. And it's a case of, as you pointed out before, Jim, why watch Ring of Honor when you find out everything that's going to happen on AEW anyway?
I'm getting the best of Ring of Honor on AEW TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Ring of Honor is poisoning AEW television, and AEW superstars are poisoning the title division of Ring of Honor.
You know,
it's like he bought it as a tax write-off at this point.
You wanted the answer of what Tony Khan can do to make ROH better. I will say one thing that, and this is something that will improve AEW as a whole. They need a hard brand split. And I'm not saying hard as in like, you know, like it's got to be like specific and like they can't move around. Do it like WWE. Move them around. I don't care. But for the most part, I want
once they're established,
identify with a brand. At least top guys identify with a brand so I know where to go see them. And if that means that the only way I get to see Claudio wrestle is by watching Ring of Honor, then I'm going to watch Ring of Honor because I like Claudio.
Exactly.
Exactly. Quick question. I just looked at this. I don't think they're signed to Ring of Honor or AEW, but maybe I'm wrong. Are the Outrunners in Ring of Honor?
Yes.
So they're signed to Ring of Honor?
Yes.
I thought they were with NWA.
No, they're signed to Ring of Honor.
Oh my God, I'm gonna start watching Ring of Honor. There's your tag champs.
Yeah, I know. I love the Outrunners. Turbo Floyd.
Had them on my trade list if I would have known they were signed. Holy.
Yeah, they're signed. They
well,
have my favorite names.
I would hope that they were signed.
Well, no, because they've been showing up on AEW TV for a while, but I know they were part of NWA.
Yeah, but then they realized they were working for Billy Corgan and went, "Fuck, let's get out of here."
Because they're amazing. They are absolutely amazing. Put the tag titles on.
100%.
The guy's called Turbo Floyd. You don't get a better name than Turbo
And
Floyd.
Truth Magnum. Oh my
No,
God, they're
just
amazing.
So good.
Yeah. It's my favorite tag team in wrestling right now. Yes, I said that.
I don't blame you. Mine's pretty deadly, but
I'm with you
I'm
there.
biased. No, that's because they're good old-fashioned British boys. Yes, boys.
Yes, boys.
Yes, boy. They're entertaining.
All right. Yeah. Good question of the week. Question.
Thank you.
Good question from our guest, Nick the Geek. So with that said, it is time to say our goodbye. Before we do, this is where you get to plug your stuff. Nick, you're up first. What would you like to tell these people? And where can
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to invite you to join myself, Jimmy Bebe, and the captain once again on Saturday, the 18th of November, for episode 2 of Wrestling with Your Thoughts Fantasy Booking Warfare. We're finally going to get a freaking winner. It's going to be no tie this time. It's going to be no shenanigans. This is the rubber match. I'm not going to fall. There's going to be a winner. No, there's going to be a winner.
Oh, I know.
This time they will be booking this year's Survivor Series, which Jimmy has picked, I believe. Then they will be rebooking, because I'm a git, Starcade 97.
Thank you.
And then the final Nitro.
Thank you.
So I'm really looking forward to this week. It is on the 18th of November, Saturday,
the
18th of November, Full Gear Saturday at 10:30 p.m. Plenty of time to watch it before the show goes on live. 10:30 p.m. UK time. I don't know what that is your time, Jim.
It's 4:30 Central Time.
There we go. So 4:30 Central Time, 10:30 UK time. Please join us live. It's loads of fun. It's my favorite thing to do every month. And yeah, it's going to be great. That's over on the Wrestling Legion YouTube channel. And sorry, we've been away at Wrestling Legion for a few weeks. People are getting studios built. So we will be back. We're relaunching the channel. I will be coming from my palatial mansion here in the Alps, as per usual.
Beautiful.
It took me years to tax right off the way for this money. But yes.
You guys have never even heard him play that piano. It's gorgeous. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's phenomenal, but I don't play the bones very often anymore. Fingers are getting old.
You got what I need.
Yeah, but please come and join us on Wrestling Legion YouTube channel on the 18th of November for Wrestling with Your Thoughts, episode 2.
Yes. And now, Albert, before I go on a fucking rant, tell them where they can find you.
All right, real quick. There's the Wrestle Buddy article that I just wrote about AEW and their fan base. You can go read that. I'm sorry, on Wrestle Buddy, and then go watch the Slam Sessions. SlamSessions.com. Slam Sessions on YouTube. I just uploaded a new video yesterday, and this one didn't have an editing mistake in it like my last one did. So that's always a positive, right? But thank you guys for joining me over there. And man, I'm ready for the rant.
All right. So first up, this Thursday, we were going to be doing a special Positively Awesome Wrestling show in which we'll be doing the predictions for Full Gear. It'll be myself, Albert, and Nick the Geek's good buddy, Cy. I've been dying to get Cy on the show. He was going to join us tonight. Things got in the way, so he asked where else he could join us. I told him Thursday would be perfect for him. So he will be joining us on Thursday to do the Full Gear predictions. We will be unveiling champions for these prediction shows. We'll have an AEW champion, and we'll have a WWE champion. Since Tidy doesn't watch AEW, it wouldn't really be fair to have one title. He can't really defend it when he wins it against AEW shows. So we will have an AEW champion crowned after this week's show because myself, Albert, and Cy will be competing in a 3-way for that. And then next Sunday, we'll be joined by our good buddy Josh from the old regularly scheduled hostilities as we do the Survivor Series prediction show. And we will be crowning a champion Survivor Series night there as well. He was a big-time champion over at RSH, so we'll see if he can come over into my world and take the belt that Albert would have had we started this last time. But we didn't, so he's not. Booyah. So sorry for you. Not. Now, what? I don't know the time yet. You just have to keep... I'll post it when I can. Now, over to this, the Wrestling Legion booking rematch this November 18th, in which I will be doing Survivor Series because I chose it because I wanted to do current day booking. We were supposed to do it last time. We didn't. We're doing it this time because that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to let y'all know right now, just based on what I've been seeing WWE doing, they ain't got shit on what I booked for this show. So I promise you, you will be entertained is an understatement of the century. It's a masterpiece. It is my masterpiece. It is beautiful.
It's your magnum opus, is it, Jim?
What's that?
It's your magnum opus, is it?
There we go. Now, I know the other guys seem to think that, well, Starrcade and Nitro are going to be more Cap's cup of tea. But the Starrcade was the height of my WCW fandom. I've been thinking about this show since it happened. So I was tickled to death that this is the Starrcade we're going to be rebooking. It's phenomenal. You're not going to want to miss it. And then the last Nitro we're rebooking together, but that's cool because full circle, that's the very first wrestling show that Jimmy Bay ever went to. That's right. The Drip King was in the audience. And that's where I was like, this is fucking amazing. I loved it. The show could have been a lot better. There was a lot of people missing from it. I think Vince kind of got a little lazy there. So I got some great ideas for that one as well. This show was basically made for me, and I don't think they even realized it. I'm coming for blood. That's why there will not be a fourth one, because I'm coming for blood. I'm going to drain every ounce of it out of the captain. I'm going to sink that ship once and for all, and I will be the champion. I know this is the Wrestle Buddy Wars Championship, but I will now next be the Wrestling with Your Thoughts champion.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
going to have to make a new belt.
I'll have one because that's what I do. I'm here for blood, and I'm going to take every last bit of it. Captain of the shipless captain. You don't stand a chance. Do not miss this. I promise you it's going to be good. And don't miss our prediction show on Thursday. Stay tuned on the Twitter page, not the X page, the Twitter page, and I'll give you a time for that. But with that said, we'll be back here next week for Survivor Series predictions. Tidy will be returned. Josh from regular scheduled hostilities will be with us. And that is the show. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. That's right. Josh is back. Don't forget, just enjoy wrestling. Thank you, Nick, for joining us on such short notice. It's always a pleasure to have you. Always a good time. And thank you, Albert, for being with us as well. Give me a quick score on that Jets game, please.
It's 9-9.
I like it. I like it. Keep it low, baby. Keep it low. So with that,
Jets win.
Goodbye, everybody, and we will see you on Thursday.